Have you ever tried to sell a diamond? If you have, you'll realise that they have very little intrinsic value. When you buy a house, as the area becomes more sought after, so does the house. It gains value. It becomes an asset. Phones, however, they're the opposite of an asset. They're a liability. They lose value after they become used and after the tech becomes outdated.
The moment you buy a diamond, it loses value. That's why we're told diamonds are forever, which is just a fancy way of saying no refunds. If you believe they are forever and should be passed down from generation to generation, you will never try to sell it, meaning you will never find out just how little they're worth. The markup on diamonds is a staggering 100 to 200%. So for you to sell a diamond back to a jeweler, you would have to compete with wholesale price, which when considering your rock might cost you around 5k, is a big loss, especially when you sell it back for sometimes less than £1,000.
But diamonds are rare, right? So as long as you get a good one, you can hold on to it until it grows in value. Or at least that explains why they're so expensive, right? Wrong.
Their price is dependent almost entirely on the scarcity, but that doesn't mean they're scarce. Let me take you on a journey to the 19th century when diamonds were rare, hence that big price, and why the only people who had them were royalty. That was until 1867 when a 15-year-old boy found a massive diamond in a place no one thought a diamond would be found, Africa. And so started the diamond rush. The issue here, contrary to what you might believe, is not that they couldn't find more diamonds, it was that they found too many. Diamonds lost the aspect which made them valuable, the scarcity. Enter De Beers. De Beers is a company that bought out pretty much every diamond mine in the world. They created a monopoly on diamonds. They had a whole lot of diamonds, which they couldn't put on the market because they would become too common. So they purposely held back the diamonds they had, only releasing a select few to make us believe that they were rare. But the truth is, they had loads of those little shiny rocks. To bump up the price, they created a valuation of which a diamond was deemed more valuable the bigger it was. That was until a mine in Siberia that was not owned by De Beers found a shit ton of smaller diamonds. De Beers couldn't possibly allow them to release them into the market because it would destroy the monopoly they had created. So instead, they bought out the mine. But then they had an abundance of these smaller diamonds. And so they changed the valuation to the 3 C's, clarity, cut and carat. That way, they could sell smaller diamonds for more money. It was no longer about size, but perfection. Something orchestrated by the people who own the diamonds. It's the people who own those diamonds who are telling you which ones are worth something and which ones are not. For any mines not controlled by De Beers, they were intimidated and bullied out of fear of them resisting their monopoly. So how do they do it? Well, once they have the diamonds, they transfer all of them over to the Central Selling Organisation, the CSO, which by the way is owned by De Beers.
The CSO sorts through the diamonds. They put them in boxes and present them to the 250 partners that they sell to. The price and quantity of the diamonds is non-negotiable. If you don't take the offer, you don't take the diamonds and you're out of the diamond industry.
In Australia, a large supply of coloured diamonds were discovered. When the mine refused to join the syndicate, De Beers retaliated by unloading massive amounts of coloured diamonds that were similar to the Australian ones, just to drive down the price, showcasing the power of their monopoly. But why do we spend so much money on them anyway? There are plenty of nice rocks in the world. Why diamonds? The reason? Love. Diamonds are associated with love and marriage, or so the tradition is believed. However, this actually didn't become a thing until the 1940s. You see, De Beers asked that very same question. Why would anyone buy a shiny rock? Then they hired the ad company, N W Ayer and Son, to find a way to sell their diamonds, primarily to Americans, which set the goal of creating a situation where almost every person pledging marriage feels compelled to acquire a diamond engagement ring. The diamond ring. That was never a thing. Suddenly, it became a thing. Ladies might not want to hear this, but the tradition of wedding rings comes from a pretty dark place. They come from the time when Romans used rings to signify legal possession of a woman. They come from paranoia that a man would steal another man's woman. Men don't trust women, so they place a signal to other men, who apparently they do trust, to back off. Basically saying, don't try anything with this girl, she's my property. The ring was basically a dog collar. And even though women have historically been the ones to want a diamond, the campaigns that N W Ayer and Sons created were mainly targeted at men. If you loved your partner, you better put a diamond on her finger, and the bigger the diamond, the more expensive it was, the more you loved her. They would put product placements in movies, paid celebrities to wear their diamonds, all to showcase that diamonds equal love and wealth. Diamonds, they suddenly became a symbol of love.
Have you ever heard that if you're buying an engagement ring, you should spend 2 months' salary on it? Have you ever wondered where that comes from? Well, that is an old De Beers ad campaign. Originally, it was 1 month's salary, but they upped it to 2 months after the success of the campaign. The sad fact is, diamonds are worthless. They don't mean love, it's not tradition, and they're not rare nor a symbol of wealth. These are all things we think because of an incredibly successful ad campaign by the people who are trying to sell you diamonds.
As for the commitment of your love, you'll be better off with a contract. As for a showcase of your wealth and worth, you'll be better off with a house. And as for a show of actual love, you'll be better with a simple rose. In fact, why not just skip the rock entirely and buy your partner a small boat? It'll cost you around the same amount of money, but you'll get way more fun out of it. And at least that way, you can sell it if you want.
The Vikings used to have a tradition where the man would give the woman he intended to marry the key to his house to wear around her neck as a symbol of her owning the key to his heart. Now that has got more meaning to it than a silly little rock.
But maybe you just like the look of that rock. What then? Well, you could get a cubic zirconia. That is a lab-grown zirconium dioxide. A cut and polished 1 carat cubic zirconia? That'll cost you around $20. That is far cheaper than diamonds, which start off at around $1,800 for 1 carat and increase considerably with size. And that's just one option out of many. And yet the best part of that? No slavery, no death, and no bloodshed. But the thing is, we've all seen the movie Blood Diamond. We know about the bloodshed, child slavery, the war that these rocks create.
We now know they're not rare, we now know that they're not valuable, we know that the whole thing was orchestrated by the people trying to sell you a diamond, and yet you still want that diamond, right? We're stuck, we can't get out of it. So now you are not so clueless on one of the biggest legal scams of the century, and yet there is nothing that you can do to get out of it.